So I just, again, as with Much Envious, I've had a chance to speak with Colleen, so I know a little bit about her story, and I'm really excited to be able to talk with you now, and for you to share your experiences as well. So let's just start with the start, which is I know you were in the military. Can you just talk a little bit about your experience as a military person?
Sure. So that's a big question, but I'll start small and I'll say
good. Just, shrink it down to 2 sentences.
yes. So overall, it was a positive experience for me. There were a lot of negative things that happened both around and to me while I was in the military, but overall, I would make it a positive experience. And one of the things that it did was I served as a unit victim advocate as one of my additional duties, which really opened my eyes to the advocacy world and sociology.
So I guess, because really what I was wondering was, in what ways did being in the military influence your interest in getting a PhD in sociology?
Sure. So I focus a lot on military sexual assault and military sexual harassment. And so that was something that I saw in and around the military, and it piqued my interest into why are the rates so high in the military? Are they the same as the general population? It basically got me asking all these equity type questions. Why are there disparities? Why are these issues happening? How can we implement changes to make it less prevalent or stop? And that's what got my mind kind of going into the sociology world.
And what stage are you at now in your program?
Sure. I'm a second year student at the California Institute of Integral Studies. And so I have next semester is comps and then my dissertation phase.
Oh, okay. So you must know Penny Harvey, right?
I do, yes.
Okay, so Penny runs one of the writing groups, which I'm going to plug for 2 seconds, which meets on Mondays and Fridays, SWS's groups. It's fantastic. So once when you're ready, come on over and people will be very supportive there. So for you then, what are some of your reasons for choosing a career outside of academia? I think I hear Lena. Hi, Lena. What are some of your reasons for choosing a career outside of academia?
Well, one is that I never really thought of academia as being an option. My family's not been through higher ed very much, and so there wasn't a lot of experience of that being a viable option as a job. I always never really thought of that as a career path. So I was already open to many ideas of where I could go as far as what I'm doing with my education. Yeah, that's why.
Yeah. So how does your family look upon you as a PhD student?
They're very interesting. They come from a more conservative background, and not to say that that's not an educated background. It can be for sure, but they almost look down on academics, which is interesting because then they pushed me really hard to go into academia, so into learning, but then they also kind of look down upon it as a career path. So.
So are you going to defy them a little bit?
I already am.
Oh, you already. Okay, good. So at your institution, to what degree do you feel supported in terms of your interest in applied work?
I think that I'm in a very lucky place at my institution because there are so many applied sociologists already in the program that I'm in. And so the staff and the faculty are very supportive of taking different opportunities outside of academia. And so it's kind of almost a naturalized process for me that I don't see it as something out of the norm, which I'm learning more and more as I go to conferences and talk to other folks in their programs, that that's not the case everywhere. And so I feel very fortunate that it is the case in my institution.
So can you just say one example of how you've, like, something that somebody has done that indicates their support for you as an applied person?
Sure. So there's certification programs for the folks that are in sex therapy or in sex counseling. The school actually partners with one of the larger institutions that does the certification program. So that's one way that they help people go into the applied world. They also bring in speakers that are doing applied sciences, which is really nice to see, and just a lot of support.
So it sounds like the culture is very much supportive of what you're doing.
Yes.
Yeah, that's interesting and maybe a little unusual. Did you know that about it before you went there?
I didn't understand the implication of that or the benefit of that until I got there. So no, I didn't know that going in. I did know that they had a lot of non-traditional and applied social science folks in the field already that were studying in the program, but I didn't realize that that was unusual, like I said. So yeah.
And do you have a vision of what you'd like to do with your degree?
Yes. So I currently run a nonprofit. I founded it in August of 2020, and I'd like to continue that work that I'm doing. So we do a lot of training and prevention work surrounding discrimination, harassment, and sexual harassment. And we also do our own in-house research. We've got a project going on right now. And so I'd like to continue doing that just with a little bit higher credential.
So, and what does a higher credential mean in the context of that location, that work?
Absolutely. So it's mostly about gaining that level of expertise and that level of credibility with my peers, because a lot of them have higher degrees, a lot of them are JDs and also some PhDs. And so it's a matter of making sure that I have that authority behind my voice.
Mm-hmm. And do they know that you're in a doctoral program now?
Yes.
Does that make a difference?
I think so. Unfortunately and fortunately.
Okay. So while you're in your program, I mean, you're still running this nonprofit, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're basically doing applied work and you are in school.
Yes.
Are you doing full-time both with both things?
Yes, I am.
I was afraid of the answer. How do you pull that off?
Magic mostly, and a lot of coffee.
Right. I think that. But yeah, I mean, what's your sleep ratio to your daytime ratio?
I sleep pretty well, so I would say it's pretty. I'm very strict about bedtime, so I make sure that I go to bed.
Okay. Did you know I'd be asking you about your bedtime today? Okay. So I guess I just really have one last question, which is, what kind of advice do you have for other people who are interested in pursuing a career outside of academia?
I think one thing that I want to impart with folks is that reading is very powerful, but it's not the end all be all. And so getting out there and learning on the job is a very important way to gain skills and experiences that you can't get necessarily just from reading a book, though reading definitely enhances knowledge and definitely is a key building block of that knowledge. There's also something to be said for going out and doing the work and seeing it in action, not just studying the theory behind it.
I think that, for anybody in a role like Heather, who's trying to convince or work with their department to create an applied program, you just provided them the perfect argument that we learn from doing. And combining those things is really a powerful thing. So anything you'd like to add?
I just really thank you for this opportunity, and that the applied world is getting more recognition and that you're pushing that forward. So thank you.
Yeah, well, thanks, because I know you're supporting it. That's, it wouldn't happen without you and other people. So thanks a lot. So let's come back. Thank you so much. Great to talk to you.